She cannot have gone far. Why are you looking for my daughter? Because she took something that does not belong to her.
Dogo, good evening.
Night is not for wandering.
I'm just going to my grandmother's house.
The moon was high in the sky. Its pale light spread across the quiet village of Okulu like a white cloth. The drums from the village square had finally gone silent.
What a joyful night! The music was perfect. Yes, let's rest now.
The women had stopped dancing. The men had gone home. The laughter that filled the night was slowly fading into the darkness. But one young lady was still on the road. Her name was Bibi. Bibi was 19 years old. She was beautiful, lively, and stubborn. That evening, she had attended a moonlight party in the next village with her friends. There was music, dancing, roasted corn, and stories told by old men around the fire. Bibi knew she was not supposed to go. Her father, Pajatao, had warned her many times.
Bibi, a young lady should not be walking about in the middle of the night.
Papa, nothing will happen to me.
Bibi, he would say, pointing his finger at her. A young lady should not be walking about in the middle of the night. But Bibi always laughed. Papa, nothing will happen to me. That night, however, as she walked home alone, her confidence disappeared. The road was long and lonely. Tall trees stood on both sides like silent guards. The dry leaves crunched beneath her feet. Crickets chirped loudly in the bushes. Every little sound made her heart jump. Bibi wrapped her shawl tightly around her shoulders and walked faster. She kept looking to her left, then to her right, again and again. Each time the wind moved the bushes, she gasped. Why did I stay so late? She whispered to herself. Her house was at the edge of the village, far from the center where the party was held. The more she walked, the more afraid she became. Soon, she saw the familiar shape of her father's old mud house. Relief washed over her. Thank God, she breathed. But as she drew closer, she heard a voice from inside. Her father's voice. Angry and loud.
How can Bibi stay out this late? I warned her many times never to attend night parties again.
How can Bibi stay out this late? He shouted. I warned her many times never to attend night parties again. Bibi froze. Her heart began pounding so hard she thought it would burst. She crept to the window and slowly peeped inside. The weak light from a kerosene lantern filled the room. Her father sat on his old wooden chair in the middle of the sitting room. His face was stern. In his hand was a long cane. He tapped it against his palm as if he was waiting for her. Bibi swallowed hard. Her legs trembled. If I enter this house tonight, Papa will skin me alive, she thought. She remembered the last time she disobeyed him. He had not spoken to her for 3 days. This time looked much worse. Her father suddenly stood up.
Let her come home! Tonight she will learn!
Let her come home, he muttered. Tonight she will learn. Bibi stepped back from the window. Tears filled her eyes. Without thinking, she turned around and ran. She ran away from the house, away from her father, away from the king. The dusty road stretched ahead of her under the moonlight. She knew exactly where she was going. Her grandmother's house. Grandma Neka lived in a small hut near the old palm grove, almost an hour away. If Bibi could get there, she would be safe until morning. So she ran. Her slippers slapped against the road. Dust rose around her feet. Her breath came in short bursts. The farther she ran, the darker the road became. The village lights disappeared behind her. Only the moon guided her now. After several minutes, she slowed down. Her chest was burning. Sweat covered her face. She looked behind her. Nobody was there. She exhaled. Then she heard it. Bibi. The voice was deep and rough. Bibi stopped. Her blood turned cold. She looked around but saw no one. Maybe she imagined it. She took another step. Come here. This time the voice was louder. Bibi froze. Slowly, she turned toward the sound. A figure emerged from the shadows. Bibi gasped. It was Dogo, the village madman. Everyone in Okolo knew Dogo. He wandered barefoot through the village with tangled hair and torn clothes. Sometimes he laughed alone. Sometimes he spoke to invisible people. Children ran from him. Adults avoided him. Some said he was crazy. Others said he could see things ordinary people could not. Bibi's knees weakened. Dogo stood in the middle of the road, staring at her. His eyes looked strangely clear under the moonlight. Bibi forced a smile.
Dogo, good evening.
Night is not for wandering.
I'm just going to my grandmother's house.
Dogo, good evening. Dogo tilted his head. Night is not for wandering, he said. Bibi stepped backward. I'm just going to my grandmother's house. Dogo took a step forward. Come here.
Bibi turned and ran. She ran as fast as her legs could carry her. But Dogo was faster than she expected. Within seconds, she felt a strong hand grab her. Bibi screamed, "Please, please don't hurt me." Tears streamed down her cheeks. Dogo said nothing. He held her firmly and pulled her off the road into the bushes. Branches scratched her arms. Dry grass brushed against her legs. Bibi was shaking so badly she could barely walk. "Please, Dogo," she sobbed. "I don't have anything. Please let me go." At last, they reached a small clearing hidden among thick bushes. The moonlight filtered through the leaves. Dogo pointed to the ground. "Lie down." Bibi hesitated. "Please." Dogo's voice became firmer. "Lie down." Too terrified to disobey, Bibi slowly lay on the dry grass. Her whole body trembled. Dogo sat beside her. Then he lay down too, staring up at the sky. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Bibi could hear her own heartbeat. Then Dogo said quietly,
Sleep. Don't walk at night.
"Sleep. Don't walk at night." Bibi turned to him in confusion. This was not what she expected. Dogo folded his hands on his chest and closed his eyes. He looked less like a madman and more like a tired old traveler. Bibi remained tense. She was too afraid to move. A few moments later, she heard voices in the distance. Men shouting. Footsteps running along the road. Bibi sat up. Through the bushes, she saw lantern lights moving quickly. One of the voices was her father's. "Bibi!" he shouted. Another voice answered. She passed this way. Bibi was about to stand up, but Dogo grabbed her hand. No, he whispered. Bibi stared at him. My father is looking for me. Dogo shook his head.
They are not alone. Bibi frowned. What do you mean? Dogo sat up and peered through the bushes. The lantern lights grew closer. Bibi squinted. Behind her father were 3 strange men she had never seen before. They were dressed in dark wrappers. Each carried a long staff. Their faces were hidden beneath wide hats. Bibi's heart skipped a beat. Who are they? Dogo's face became serious.
Who are they?
They came to the village tonight.
How do you know?
I heard them speaking to the wind.
They came to the village tonight. How do you know? I heard them speaking to the wind. Bibi looked at him, confused. Dogo continued. They asked about a girl who wore red beads and silver earrings. Bibi's hand instinctively touched her ears. She was wearing exactly that. One of the strange men spoke loudly.
She cannot have gone far. Why are you looking for my daughter? Because she took something that does not belong to her.
She cannot have gone far. Pajatau sounded worried. Why are you looking for my daughter? The tallest man answered in a cold voice. Because she took something that does not belong to her. Bibi's eyes widened. She had taken nothing. Then she remembered. At the party, while dancing with her friends, an old woman had pressed a tiny cowrie shell bracelet into her hand. The woman had smiled and whispered, "Keep this safe. It belongs to your bloodline." Before Bibi could ask questions, the woman disappeared into the crowd. Bibi had slipped the bracelet onto her wrist and forgotten about it. Now she looked down. The bracelet was glowing faintly in the dark. Bibi sucked in her breath. Dogo saw it and nodded.
I knew it.
Knew what?
You carry the moon bracelet.
How do you know this?
Because I have been waiting many years.
I knew it. Knew what? Bibi whispered. Dogo's eyes were fixed on the glowing shells. You carry the moon bracelet. Bibi stared at him. How do you know this? Dogo gave a sad smile. Because I have been waiting many years for the girl who would wear it. The voices outside were getting closer. Branches cracked as the men searched the bushes. Bibi's father shouted her name again, his voice full of fear. Bibi looked at Dogo, no longer seeing only the village madman. Who are you? She whispered. Dogo touched the bracelet gently. Not every madman is truly mad. One of the dark men stopped just a few steps from their hiding place. He raised his staff. The glowing tip pointed directly toward them. I found her. The tall man lowered his lantern and stepped into the clearing. Bibi held her breath. Her heart was beating so hard that she thought she would faint. The strange man lifted his wooden staff and pointed it toward the bushes where Bibi and Dogo were hiding. Within seconds, the other men rushed forward. Their lanterns swung from side to side. Bibi pressed herself against the ground. She expected the men to seize her, but something unexpected happened. As soon as the men stood before Dogo, they all dropped to one knee and bowed their heads. Bibi's eyes widened. "What is happening?" she whispered. Dogo remained standing. His posture changed completely. He no longer looked like the dirty village madman everyone mocked. He stood tall and proud, like a king. Before Bibi could speak again, she heard footsteps crashing through the bushes. "Bibi!" It was her father. Pajatau burst into the clearing, sweating heavily. The moment he saw the strange men surrounding his daughter,
He ran forward and spread his arms in front of her. "Leave my daughter alone," he shouted.
Leave my daughter alone!
His voice shook, but his eyes were full of courage. Bibi had never loved her father more than she did at that moment.
Papa, who are they?
I don't know. They came to the house asking for you.
"Papa!" she cried, grabbing his arm. "Who are they?" Pajatau shook his head. "I don't know." He looked around nervously. "They came to the house asking for you. Udoka, our neighbor's son, said he saw you running this way, so I followed the route here." He glanced at the kneeling men. "These men followed me, but they refused to tell me who they were." He turned to Bibi. "Please, let us go home." Just then, Dogo's deep voice filled the clearing. "They are my men." Pajatau turned sharply. His mouth fell open.
Dogo. For a few seconds, no one spoke. The night was silent except for the sound of crickets. Pajatau stared at Dogo in disbelief. "Did you just say they are your men?" He blinked repeatedly. "But you are..." He could not finish his sentence. Dogo raised his hand. "I know what you want to say." He stepped forward into the moonlight. The lantern light revealed his face clearly. For the first time, Bibi noticed that his eyes were calm and intelligent. There was nothing confused about him. Dogo looked at Pajatau and Bibi. "I am not mad." Bibi's mouth dropped open. Her father stepped backward. "What?" Dogo sighed. "For many years, I have lived in this village pretending to be a madman." Bibi stared at him. "But why?" Dogo smiled gently. "Because it was my destiny." He turned to the kneeling men. They remained silent, their heads bowed respectfully. Dogo continued. "I am Prince Dogo of Umueze." Pajatau gasped. Umueze was a powerful kingdom 7 villages away. Their king was old and had a crown prince, but nobody knew it was Dogo. Everyone knew the next ruler would come from the royal bloodline. Dogo spoke again. "Our tradition says that before I can become king, I must leave the palace and live among ordinary people. I must disguise myself and walk unnoticed. I must remain in that condition until I find a woman I truly love." Bibi was speechless. Her mind could not understand what she was hearing. Dogo turned to her. "Bibi, I have loved you for a very long time." Bibi's cheeks became warm. "What?" "Yes," Dogo said. "From the first day I saw you carrying water on your head and greeting everyone with kindness." He smiled. "Even when people laughed at me, you always greeted me. You never insulted me. You never threw stones. You treated me like a human being." Bibi remembered. Many times she had offered Dogo roasted corn or a cup of water. She never thought much of it. Dogo continued.
Tonight, I asked our herbalist, the old woman at the party, to give you the moon bracelet.
Tonight, I asked our herbalist, the old woman at the party, to give you the moon bracelet. He pointed to the glowing bracelet on her wrist. "That bracelet is a sign. It means I have finally found the woman I want to marry." Bibi looked at the bracelet and then at Dogo. Her legs felt weak. Pajatau rubbed his forehead.
This feels like a dream. I understand. It is late. Please, Dogo, let us go home. We can discuss this tomorrow.
"This feels like a dream." Dogo bowed his head respectfully. I understand. Pajatau took Bibi's hand. It is late. He swallowed hard. Please, Dogo, let us go home. We can discuss this tomorrow. Dogo smiled. Of course. He stepped aside. Pajatau and Bibi hurried out of the bushes. As they walked home, neither of them spoke. The entire journey felt unreal. When they finally reached the house, Bibi's mother, Mama Jatau, rushed to the door.
Where have you two been?
Where have you two been? But one look at their faces told her something extraordinary had happened. That night, no one slept. Bibi lay on her mat, staring at the ceiling. Was Dogo truly a prince? Had she really been speaking kindly to a future king all these years, all these times? And did she truly want to marry him? At dawn, Mama Jatau opened the front door to sweep the compound. The broom slipped from her hand. She screamed, Jatau, come quickly!
Come quickly!
Jatau ran outside. He stopped in shock. The entire compound was filled with gifts. Large baskets of yam, bags of rice, fresh fish, palm oil, goats tied to a post, crates of fruits, fine wrappers neatly folded in colorful bundles.
Mama Jatau covered her mouth. Who brought all these? She shouted.
Who
Their
brought
neighbors
all
gathered.
this?
Everyone stared in amazement. Udoka's mother shook her head. We saw nothing.
We saw nothing.
Another woman whispered,
This can only be from a wealthy family.
About an hour later, the sound of drums echoed through the village. People rushed out of their homes. A long procession was approaching. At the front were royal drummers.
Hail the king! Long live the king! Hail the prince! Glory to the prince!
Behind them came guards dressed in red and gold. Then came chiefs wearing coral beads. And in the middle of them all was a man seated proudly in a decorated vehicle. The villagers gasped, Dogo! But he no longer looked like the ragged man they knew. His hair was neatly trimmed. He wore a magnificent embroidered robe. A coral crown rested on his head. Gold beads hung around his neck. He looked every bit a prince. The villagers stood frozen. Some covered their mouths. Others shook their heads in disbelief. The procession stopped in front of Bibi's house. Dogo stepped down. He walked confidently into the compound. Pajatau and Mama Jatau quickly bowed. The chiefs arranged themselves in a line. The oldest chief stepped forward.
We have come from the kingdom of
We have
Umweze.
come from the
Our
kingdom
prince
of
has chosen
Umweze.
this young woman, Bibi, as his wife.
Our prince has chosen this young woman, Bibi, as his wife. A murmur spread through the crowd. Bibi stepped outside fully, wearing a simple wrapper. Her hands trembled. Dogo looked at her warmly. He knelt before her. The villagers gasped again.
A prince kneeling before a village girl. Dogo raised his head. Bibi. His voice was gentle. I have admired your kindness, your humility, and your courage. I do not ask because of your beauty alone. I ask because your heart is pure.
He held out his hand. Will you marry me? The whole village became silent. Bibi looked at her parents. Tears filled her mother's eyes. Pajato nodded slowly. Bibi turned back to Dogo. For years, she had treated him with kindness without expecting anything in return. Now she understood that true character is revealed by how we treat people who seem to have nothing. A soft smile spread across her face. Yes, she said. I will marry you. The crowd erupted in joyful cheers. Women ululated. Drums sounded louder. Bibi's mother began to cry. Pajato lifted his hands to the sky. Thank you, God. Dogo stood and slipped a beautiful ring onto Bibi's finger. The chiefs clapped. The royal women dressed Bibi in elegant wrappers and coral beads. That same day, the procession carried her to Umweze. As they entered the kingdom, thousands of people lined the roads. They cheered and threw flower petals. Bibi could hardly believe her eyes. A few weeks later, Dogo was crowned king. And Bibi, the village girl who once ran in fear through the night, was crowned queen. She became Queen Bibi of the 7th village. But she never forgot where she came from. She made sure her parents lived comfortably.
I brought this for you, my dear parents.
Thank you, my daughter. It looks wonderful.
You are so thoughtful.
She built a new school in her village. She helped widows and orphans. And whenever she passed through the marketplace, she greeted everyone with the same kindness she had always shown. Years later, people still told the story of how a simple act of kindness changed a young woman's life forever. They would say, never mock anyone. The person you ignore today may be a king tomorrow. And the kindness you show in secret may open the door to your greatest blessing.